So I know normally on this channel we talk about Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and a lot of, very popular things in pop culture. However, this video, we're going to be talking about Terrifier 3, and I've got a lot to get off my chest.
I'm Spider-Man.
Before we get too deep into this, guys, we're on the road to 5,000 subs, so if you're new to this channel, leave a like, it would really help me a lot, and also subscribe to the channel, I would love to have you here. Also, leave your comments down below, I read every single one, and I most likely will respond. So like I said, on this channel, I talk about Marvel, Star Wars, things I love, but I also really love horror. I've seen so many different horror movies, it's one of my favorite genres, and it's been a long time since I've had one that actually scared me. That wasn't until like 2 years ago when I saw the first Terrifier movie. Art the Clown scared the hell out of me when I first saw it, and I was so happy to be scared because I hadn't felt that in a while. That, plus the indie nature of that film, set it apart from tons of different things that I had been seeing and been watching in terms of the horror genre, and it stood out from all of the rest. There is just something about David Howard Thornton's performance as Art the Clown that is so unsettling, so comedic, but terrifying at the same time. And then of course we have Terrifier 2 that takes the original formula and adds more of a story and more character background and kind of just ups the ante of what the first one did. So if we have the first one that was scary to me, we have the second one that was intriguing and terrifying, we have this third one. Now this third one is like an evolution and just straight up disturbing. Growing up, I've always envied the stories of my parents and grandparents about going to see movies like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, and things like that. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think my generation really has grown up with a iconic staple horror slasher. We've always gotten remakes and sequels to things that we'd already seen before. And that's up until now, where I think Art the Clown is officially cementing himself with this third film as a horror icon. And there's some talk online about how this is just kind of like an industry plant or something. No, that's all BS in my opinion. You could throw this character into any sort of script and I'm gonna watch it. I just happen to be so lucky to get this character and a story that's actually getting more and more interesting with each installment. This is technically the third standalone Terrifier movie, and I can totally see this opening up just the next decade or so down the line with so many different iterations of this character or this story or this world. Because the world building in this third movie is so interesting, albeit disturbing and terrifying and gory and completely nauseating at times, in a good way of course, that I could totally see this original indie project that Damien Leone created evolving into something much bigger. I mean, I'm on social media seeing nothing but Art the Clown everywhere, and I couldn't be happier. Again, what I think makes him stand out among the rest is not only just the gore and the dismemberment and stuff like that, it's just the fact that he's scary, combined with the fact that there's comedic relief with his character because he's a clown, and this third movie does it fantastically. I also have to bring up, we now have a final girl for our generation with Sienna. If the older generations had Laurie Strode with Halloween, and of course Sidney Prescott with Scream, this is our final girl. She's already basically iconic after 2 movies, and I can see it growing way further down the line. I think one of the best things about this franchise, and even the third movie in particular, is that Damien Leone is taking something that's kind of grown out of his control, but it's still in his control because you can tell that he's putting his heart and soul into this, and he's not letting the fame or the money or whatever get in the way of him telling what he wants to tell. This movie is not rated. I was sitting in my theater, which was completely packed, by the way. This movie theater was more packed than my early screening of Joker 2, which that's a whole nother story in itself, having a clown beat another clown, an independent clown. It's just crazy. But the fact that I've seen more hype around this movie than I did for Joker 2, that is a big studio budget movie, says something. I think it's impressive. I think it's awesome. I mean, even people who don't like this movie or like the Terrifier movies in general have sung the praises of this third movie, congratulating the cast and crew and the film itself for doing what it's doing. I was smiling the whole time watching this with my brother because I'm thinking to myself, this feels like it shouldn't belong here. In the sense that this movie feels like it was made in the 80s or so, and we're sitting down watching a slasher flick for the first time with the cheese, with the gore, with the comedy, and the horror. This third one definitely develops the plot even more, and the cliffhanger at the end makes me excited for the fourth one. In my head, I keep going back and forth being like, okay, how many Friday the 13th movies are there? And then I say, okay, there's 3 Terrifier movies, but I'm not tired of this character. After you see Jason a couple times, in my opinion, it's just like, okay, here's Jason, but Art the Clown keeps innovating, and it's hilarious and it's horrifying. Obviously, these movies aren't for everybody, but I will tell you, I'm completely shocked to let you know that in my theater, there were at least two 10 to 12-year-olds with Terrifier merch on, and they're watching horrible, horrific things that they should not be watching, in my opinion. But it's crazy. It's a cultural phenomenon that I never thought would exist, and I'm so grateful that it does. I know this is completely different than the normal content that I put out on this channel, which is, you know, Marvel, Star Wars, and things like that, but I had to get my thoughts out, and I'd like to venture into the horror stuff someday if you guys like it, so leave a like on this video if you want more of this. Lastly, as a person who studied film and camera work in college, this makes me want to be a part of this franchise. I would give so much money just for Art the Clown to kill me in a sequel, because we have this indie director who's doing what he loves minus all the big studio crap that goes on, and he's putting it out and it's a big success. So much so that it's really just inspired me to make a video about it. So yeah, this video is more about the cultural impact that Terrifier 3 is having across the world more than the actual plot of the movie. And if you guys want to see more of that, I'd be more than happy to make a breakdown. But yeah, it just feels good to have this slasher horror movie that everybody's talking about. And even though it's crazy, we're enjoying and sharing our experience. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you all very soon.